Hello family, I want to show you where I'm coming from today for my daily life. Coming from this beautiful Maloka, miniature Maloka, and this is where I'm working today. Today I took a little bit of time, just to bring my awareness back into connections and reaching out to my beautiful sisters and, really planning my next gathering for women, the Divine Feminine Retreat in Montana in August. And today I realized that we are sold out. So if you're interested in coming to Montana with me, reach out and we can put you on a next year list. And if any spaces open up, I'm happy to let you know. So, wow, this journey of 200-hour Danyasa teacher training, which is all around the Divine Feminine Mysteries. It's called A Journey into the Feminine Mysteries. And we have 12 beautiful sisters here, 12 beautiful women who are stepping up on the path of becoming yoga teachers. And I'm co-leading this beautiful yoga teacher training with an incredible teacher, Colleen, and my mentor, my dear sister, Sophia Tom. And it's been such a beautiful journey of just really stepping into a role of a teacher. It's a really powerful tool to have, especially in this lifetime now, to connect and to see and to show ourselves who we truly are and how we can serve the world at this time. Hey, beautiful Patty. We're going to miss you in Montana, sister. So, just really tuning into that frequency of a teacher and what it really means, how to step up in a teacher role as we step into it. And oftentimes, like, we don't need any kind of certification or going to school for any reason to be a teacher, especially teaching our own children, grandchildren. That's a beautiful role of a teacher as a parent and even a friend. How can we teach each other? By being kind, by staying kind, nurturing and loving, and bringing ourselves back into remembering who we are and releasing the shadows and shedding the shadows that stand in the way of us truly showing up in our authenticity as teachers. Oh, of course, honey. You know what, Patty? I have an idea. Maybe we can Zoom together for some of our time together. I would love to have you on Zoom. Would you be interested? I will send you a link before each of our sessions and you join us whenever you can. That would be really beautiful to stay connected and you can hear everyone and you can share your own experience through the Zoom. That would be beautiful. Probably somewhere around, maybe even from the phone if I don't have Wi-Fi on my Zoom. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Yeah, that just totally came to me because in this training here, we had two sisters who got COVID, and according to the guidelines, and there's some isolation time that was happening, and those sisters were able to join each session, each class through Zoom. And, it's just as beautiful of an experience, even though to meet in person is so potent and really is what we are desiring, but this doesn't always happen. So, yeah, today I really wanted to bring in and talk a little bit about shedding. Shedding. What does it mean? Releasing, shedding, letting go. And what exactly are we shedding, right? Or what do we think we're shedding? Doing the shadow work for the past few years really, took me on a really deep dive into the underworld, deep dive into the earth. And it was not just a deep dive, it's a roller coaster. It's shadow work isn't easy. Shadow work is almost like this dark arts training where you have to gather your most fearless, fearsome, and graceful self. Like you have to remember that and anchor into that wisdom of who we are in order to go deep into the earth and to go and to dive into all the possibilities of transformation. And they are not easy and they are scary, and oftentimes they can feel devastating. And just I have learned so much to just stand in my neutral power of empathy, having empathy and being a witness. And sometimes I feel like, why do I see and feel so much? It's almost like something in me is like, I don't want to see anymore. Like I see everything. I understand things. I witness and I observe, and sometimes it feels a lot for us, like empaths. Anyone who is stepping up on a path of reawakening, we feel so deeply. We feel and see and understand, and we don't always put things in words, but we understand it all. And so it's not always easy. It's actually really difficult to be able to be this deep empath. And what we can do is to use this empathy in empowering ways. Instead of wishing to not feel or to not see, how can I take this power and shed more of these layers that are fighting against becoming fully who I am? Because sometimes that power of ourselves can be intimidating and scary, and witnessing our own shadows come up. What can I do in that moment? I can call it out. I can call out any toxic feminine, any toxic masculine within my own self. And one of my beautiful divine teachers, Sienna Sherman, who I absolutely adore and so grateful for her and the wisdom she brought into my life, she always said, don't call things out, call them in. Call everything you want to call out in someone else, call them out in yourself first, and then call all lost parts of yourself back. Where we forgot who we are, where we are missing something, we're seeking something, bring that in, seek within, look within. What part of me can rise in empowerment and be brave in each moment, and calling in my own divine masculine, calling in my own divine feminine. And as I return to my remembrance, I get to radiate that frequency into the world. And by doing my own inner work, inner shadow work, I am contributing to the world's shadow deconstruction. I'm contributing to the deconstruction of the shadow, of the predator on the planet at this time. And how can I move away from the teachings of the teachings that make us think that we are what we see, because we are not. We are true divine beings made in incredible, beautiful innocence, image of love. We are not always the things that we see. And how can I bring that through and say no to all that which continues to be defensive, offensive, toxic, personal, explaining, triggering or triggered, shaming, blaming, turning against love, arrogant? How can I call those things out in others by doing this work into the world, by speaking my words, by writing, by connecting, by channeling, by bringing the wisdom from the heart, from the womb, from my mind, from my highest self, and speak up against anger in the way that it destroys and gaslights and creates chaos in the world and distorts the order of love, of grace. And how can I say no to the jealousy within humanity, and to the insecurity or being afraid, and in our ego lashing out, hiding out in victimhood and corruption, feeling emotionless, indifferent, cold-hearted, closed off, shut down? Where do I still agree with that when others talk about it? How can I help them rewrite their stories and call out their bullshit in the way that I am now empowered in that? And I can help them see that they're not those old stories. And how can we rewrite ourselves and be more loving and nurturing and healing, becoming the miracles of love and surrendering to love and releasing the old armor that is rusty and heavy, the armor of the past that we had to put on ourselves when we were hurt? What makes us still feel nothing and separate from each other and separate from feeling our emotions? Why do we shut ourselves down from feeling? What is that? What is that program in our mind that shuts down our feeling emotions, feeling our bodies here on earth, feeling and understanding that we're not creating more negativity in the world by speaking our truth and by naming what we see. By naming what we see, we actually dissolve the corruption, we dissolve the shadow, we dissolve the darkness that's not in service. And there's also two different types of darkness. There's a fertile darkness, the fertile earth, and there's also the darkness that is not in service to love. There's the darkness that actually wants to keep you down there in your sorrow, in your anguish, looping and cycling through old stories where I'm not worthy, or where I'm not good enough, or I feel insecure. How can I come into this neutral place of understanding who I am, understanding the love that I am? And realizing that I'm not separate. I'm not separate from knowing my true heart and being reborn from that deep underworld. I had to be reborn so many times, and it's never gonna end. It might get a little easier each time because we get stronger And, you know, someone just said something like about Russian people that they're stoic. You know, I usually don't like smile with a big, huge smile. And that's like a Russian trait in me. And I said that, you know, that's the Russian in me. And someone said that Russians are stoic. And yes, it's like I had to put on that armor that was conditioned upon me from the moment I was born into a Soviet Union times, and born into like this anguish and memories of the World War II, and that's how I remember my childhood, as if it's like I grew up in World War II. Everything is black and white, black and gray, not even white, black and gray, and raining and dirty and dusty. And you know, I had incredible, beautiful moments in my life, but like overall picture, it's like a different timeline that people are still living. They're still living. It's almost like each country has its own timeline to live. And wherever we are born into, we get to experience that way of living. And wherever we're taken into the world, and oftentimes we also travel a lot and we don't feel like we belong anywhere. And what does that mean? I met a beautiful woman here from Italy. Her name is Eleonora, and she teaches yoga here at Danyasa, and we really connected. And it's like, also someone asked, where are you in Italy? And she said, you know, I'm from Italy, but I'm a starseed. I lived here and here all over the world. And she's like, I'm a starseed. I belong in the stars. And really, when we really connect to our highest self and highest consciousness, we understand that we are all from the stars. We all come from the stars. We are all part of some sort of oneness out there, multidimensionally. Yet, now we live here on this earth, on the planet Earth, this dense matrix, three-dimensional world that holds the second and first dimension, that holds this emotional body and these shadows within us. We have to come down multidimensionally, even to the lower dimensions, to do this work, to spiral in and down and die, to die in there, and then reclaim yourself back. Having to reclaim yourself and to rise back up into the light and be reborn time after time with more wisdom, with more integration, and to return to innocence and wholeness of the power of love. To remember that power of love and invite the true divine feminine, the true divine masculine essence to return and arrive with us as we rise back into the light, into our physical body, into our every cell, and as we open ourselves up to the power of the divine, God, Goddess, connecting to the Goddess, connecting to the divine feminine essence. Before you connect to anything else, there was a beautiful example also yesterday, a beautiful, incredible man that we met here. And you know, he said, before I connect and do any kind of work, I connect to my feminine side. I connect to the wisdom of the Goddess. And through her, I'm able to connect to my divine masculine part that is in pure devotion to the feminine and her mission here on earth, her medicine, her healing journey, as the masculine stands and holds the river banks for her to flow. And that was so beautiful to witness. And then it's like this journey of a play and work together, balanced into like this beautiful, graceful flow. No one's pushing anymore. No one's pulling on anything. It's like the spiral of between two. And it's almost like we don't have to be balanced. Our polarities don't have to be balanced. We can be more in our feminine, or we can be more in the masculine, and we can have that deep inner honoring and devotion and almost like this reverence to ourselves within, so that when we flow and spiral, we can be with grace. And when we come across something difficult, and we often do internally and externally, we get to stand in our neutral grace because we have overcome all those shadows and we have looked at them. And we opened ourselves up to the power of love and truth and devotion and wisdom. And the power of love is here to serve living beings, to serve humanity, to bring the truth about creation, to bring the truth about who we truly are and what's going on the planet at this time. And remember that true power that lives within us of service, the power of divine love, service, connection, community, giving and receiving with generosity and regenerating that love back into the world, regenerating our divine health. We were not meant to be born into all the sickness and all the illness and death and suffering. You know, realizing that there is corruption on the planet everywhere we look, and we get to bring the wellness and the abundance through our heart work, generosity and awareness, openness, vulnerability, conversations that are important, conversations that are listening for that wisdom within, and stop the chatter and stop the chasing and stop constantly doing something, and really allow for the vulnerable, open rivers of broken heart, tears to flow and heal any damage, any inversion, any splitting off of your true self from the divine. The true self that is created in the image of God, which is love, which is the divine. God and Goddess, Mother Earth, Father Sky. They're vast and cosmic and universal. And asking ourselves, like the shadow work, what parts of me are not devoted to love? What part of me is still fighting against loving and receiving love? Are we still devoted? Are we devoted to self, or how can we find that devotion to self? Are we devoted to our healing? It is our responsibility to heal our wounds once we know them. Like once we see our wounds, are we just going to sit and wallow in them year after year after year? Or are we going to take this power to heal them and remember who we are in our devotion, seeing ourselves in our most authentic, raw power of love? Hey, my love, Melissa Robin. Beautiful. I have these fond memories of us together in February, just giggling and having such a beautiful time. So I'm here to really reclaim that power of love and deconstruct the love of power, that it corrupts the teacher within. And that's where I started with, like stepping into a teacher role. It's like so important to step into the role of a true teacher that is not corrupted by the ego, and is not corrupted by what would make me cool, what would make them like me, what would make me better than other teachers because I'm a badass. And what is it in me that continues to corrupt around the purity of my heart? And I am just speaking from a place of multidimensional collective and the things that I see and name as the truth rather than creating more. When we speak the truth, it does not mean we create more of what we speak about. It actually means we are deconstructing the lie. seeing that which continues to corrupt around our open heart, our broken open heart. Like, we don't need to shut it down. We can open it and really feel, and collapsing the false light, blinding all of humanity in worldly possessions, external possessions, and like this consumerism, that desire to feed the ego, and it's almost like creating more blood dripping demons. And all the stories, like yoga is full of these myths and stories about these bloodthirsty demons. And each blood drops and creates more demons. And that's what this external consumerism and possessions are doing. It's not the actual looking demon. It's all happening in our consciousness. All the myths and stories are living right here, right now, within each one of us. And how can we, as a collective, really welcome this divine feminine essence? And through this divine feminine essence, come into understanding and awakening the divine masculine essence. And then the divine masculine in return devotes all of himself to the feminine. All of this is happening within, and we get to find balance not only internally but also externally by calling in the power of love, calling it in every day. Not the fluff, not the nice, not the love and light, but love, light, and truth. A divine light, a powerful fire that burns in our soul and burning away the corruption and all that doesn't belong and all the shadows, allowing it all to burn to ash and to collapse and to, we can stand and devote our whole lives to the path of the heart and the power to rise, to love, and to give love freely and touch love and be loved, allow ourselves to be loved. For a very long time, I didn't allow myself to be loved because I was deeply hurt and wounded in my life. Realizing now I was a target to dim my light. And many of us are targets. We are deeply wounded so that we forget about ourselves, and we're like staying in this victimhood and slavery consciousness about everything. We are enslaved, and many of us still are. It's about feeling love and letting love in, and maybe taking some time to heal. It's not an overnight thing for many of us. Let this love melt the snow around the cave you are sitting in your slumber, like Shiva. Shiva is the divine masculine, and in his grief and agony, he was sitting in the cave for eons of time, oblivious to the world around, and the world was overtaken by that which destroys the world, without anyone in the world destroying it and cleansing and purifying. That's like Shiva's job. He's the destroyer. He comes in and he burns away the lies, and he burns away and he cuts away all that is not in devotion to the feminine. It's like letting that third eye essence open and show you who you are and why you're here, so you can remember and reclaim and rise in and through the healing medicine of love, remembering your true self and returning home to God and to Goddess through each other and to all that is holy, sacred, whole, and sovereign. Really bringing yourself home, and this is my message today. Thank you for tuning in one more time. This is my workplace, and on this path, and once you really realize your Dharma, you will be blessed in every way to serve it. I know this. Once you know your Dharma, you will realize that you already have everything that you need in order to serve it. Wherever it is, in a magical paradise or somewhere in a dark, dark cave, cold and desperate, we get to rise from our shadows and to clear and to reclaim our souls. And that is my long message today. If you have any reflections, I'd love to hear from you. And sending you so much love, remembering who you are. Continue shedding, releasing, and evolving. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be.